After further review, here on a Monday, presented by Relief Windows, Musso in for Moscona, Luke Foster, Paul O'Neill along for the ride, and we're fired up to have all of you along for the ride here as well. Holiday weekend in the rear view. Maybe you're back at work for the first time today, just getting off, 5 o'clock, punch the clock, heading home. We appreciate you for making us a part of your day. It's been a great show here so far on a Monday. And I got a jam-packed here at 5 o'clock hour. Obviously, we got to get to auto blocks. We'll do that to close the show. We have another update when it comes to the Saints win total, and one that I'm pretty intrigued again to pass along. So we'll do that here in about 13 or so minutes. But I wanted to start with some conversation about LSU football and, in particular, the defensive line. So everyone is expecting LSU to make the college football playoff. Really, not only that, win a couple games, make a pretty deep run. The investment that they put into the staff, to hiring Lane Kiffin, to the team, NIL, all those things, it is to that level where that should be the baseline expectation. And it is the baseline expectation for this team this season. Well, in order to do that, you're going to have one of LSU's better teams. And when you look at LSU's best teams throughout their history, what do they have in common? The defensive line has always been awesome. The 2003 team, they didn't stink. Chad Lavallee, Kyle Williams, Marcus Spears, Marquise Hill, really good defensive line. 07, Dorsey, Tyson Jackson, and there's more. 11, Kiki Mingo, Benny Logan, Michael Brockers. Heck, you even go to 2019. You had a first-rounder in Caleb Chason coming off the edge, Tyler Shelvin, Rashard Lawrence, Braden Fajoko. Really good defensive line. And I got thinking about this today because over at CBS Sports, Brad Crawford did a piece about SEC's breakout freshmen, and LSU landed 2 on the list, and they were both on the defensive line, Deuce Gerald's, Lamar Brown. Shouldn't really be surprising. But it's man, you look at that, 2 breakout freshmen, you take a step back, you look at everything else LSU did in the portal up front on the defensive side, and you take a step back and you go, man, you know what? For the first time in a long time, it looks like an LSU defensive line is supposed to look. This is a unit that is quick, that is agile, that should be plenty physical enough to resemble, not exceed, to resemble some of those great LSU defensive lines we've seen in the past. Now, they're not without question marks. And I understand those question marks, and we're going to get into it. But I look at this group that they've put together, and I'm probably more confident than I should be, given some of those question marks. Because while you have a good bit of experience on the inside, like the interior position, you maybe haven't had the dominance that you would like to have from those guys over their college careers. But you have a guy like Deuce Gerald's coming in who could be very dominant and made explosive play after explosive play in the spring to where he was running with the ones. Now, you don't really want to rely on a freshman to have to be that explosive, but I think you have enough experience-wise where you can see some of these guys take steps. Take a Dom McKinley. So much of this is going to focus in on Dom McKinley. Because that's a guy who is a 5-star coming out of Acadiana when he signed with LSU. He's played in 23 games over his 2 seasons, and at times you've really seen flashes. Do you remember what Dominic McKinley's first play in an LSU uniform was? You remember? He sacked the quarterback against UCLA. It was a QB sack. The first play of his LSU career. Because he got to LSU, dealt with injury, missed the first few games, made his debut against UCLA, and the moment he got in there, quarterback sack. That was one of the first moments where you go, all right, hold on. In the season finale, his freshman year against Oklahoma, he had 2 sacks in that game on back-to-back possessions, mind you. So you saw potential there. This past season, he only had the 1 sack. You look at it, you go, okay, step back there. And I'm never telling you that Dominic McKinley's going to go out there and be like a double-digit sack guy for in the interior. It's not going to happen. But that's a guy who's played in 23 games, pair of starts. You need him to take the next step. But you know the talent is there, and boy, he looks the part. You go get Malik Blockton from Auburn. This is a guy who, in Blockton, has made 10 starts and appeared in 24 games. 8.5 TFLs in those games. Experience. Is it dominant? No, but it's experience. That's also a guy who's played inside and outside for Auburn. I like that experience that you bring because that's really what you needed. In your returners, outside of McKinley, it was Sean Washington and Brandon Brown. You add Stephylon Green from Clemson. This guy has over 600 career defensive snaps in Power 4 football. 611 defensive snaps to be exact. And he became a starter for Clemson a year ago. That is a lot of experience that you brought in there to really kind of, I'm not going to say be your front line because we're about to get to Deuce Gerald's, and it feels like that guy's really going to play early and start potentially even against Clemson. We'll see how training camp goes. But I don't know how you can't look at that. Look at the size those guys bring. 6'3", 296 from Stephylon Green. Malik Blockton, you look at him, 6'3", 286. They're athletic. They're fast. That's what they want. Dom McKinley's just a hair over 300 pounds. And those guys have just played a bunch of football. They look the part. I love that. And then you get to a freshman like Deuce Gerald's, who, man, for all the pub that Richard Anderson gets, obviously that Lamar Brown gets, Deuce Gerald should probably get even more. That guy is the all-time career leader in sacks in Georgia high school football history. They play some pretty darn good high school football over in the Peach State last time I checked. That guy has sacked the quarterback more than anybody. That guy was getting reps with the ones in spring ball. And Lane Kiffin, when he met with the media, this was about mid-April, he talked about the early impact that Deuce Gerald's was making.
Yeah, Deuce has done a phenomenal job, major impact. I always talk to coaches to think about these guys used to still be in high school, before everybody became mid-years. And for him to come in and play at the level he plays at, but practice the way that he does, and says a lot about his coaching in high school, says a lot about his upbringing with his parents, because that's very unique to be able to handle all that. He's going to be a great player here, and really enjoy coaching him too because of his just mindset. Saturday night, I think I was going out on the field for a jog. He's the only one out there, by himself at night, just hitting the sled all by himself. Speaks volumes to who he is when no one's looking. What do you do?
That guy's going to play an awful lot. He's going to be really good. And what he's going to be charged with is creating havoc. Hey, man, you got after the quarterback a bunch in Georgia high school football. We need you to come do that here at LSU too. Now, again, I'm not saying you're going to expect him to go out there and have like a 10-sack freshman year. That's probably not a realistic expectation. But having him out there to complement all the veterans and get plenty of reps, he definitely can add. And if this defensive line is really going to take that step that I think that they can, Deuce Gerald is going to have to be a big part of that, as Richard Anderson. Like, Richard Anderson is going to get some time too. But it certainly feels like Deuce Gerald on the interior is going to be that guy who really gets the lion's share of the reps when it comes to the freshmen. And then again, you have all the experience we just talked about with McKinley, Green, and Blockton. Now, you flip that to the edge, and I'm a little bit less confident there. Prince Uman Mielen's going to be great. Like, we understand that. The guy had 9 sacks in the league a year ago. He's extremely experienced veteran, production, and just time on task on the field. You feel very good about that. We'll see what happens with Gabe Relaford. Obviously, it looks like he's going to miss the majority of the season, if not all of it. The thing is, you brought in a bunch of unproven transfers. Jordan Ross is a former 5-star, but That guy's got a sack and a half in his career over 2 seasons at Tennessee. Now, he's played in 22 games over those 2 seasons. That's great. I like the experience there. The production just hasn't necessarily followed. If it clicks, look out. But it's very I would say the edge rushers you brought in, they're more unproven than the defensive tackles that you brought in. So that's really where my cause. I think LSU's going to be very good at defensive tackle. My cause for concern with the defensive line really comes to the edges for me because of just the unprovenness. Same thing with a guy like with Jaylen Brown, who you brought in from South Carolina. Well, he missed all of last year with an injury. You look at Dylan Carpenter, he's played sparingly. Kalash Cobbins, obviously that defensive staff loves him, but it's been sparingly. Damian Shaklin certainly looks the part, but of course it's all been sparingly. That feels like a very unproven group outside of Princewell and Munmani. Now, your wild card is we double back to where we started this segment with the CBS sports piece, and Lamar Brown's in there. And Lamar Brown needs no introduction. We've been very aware of him because he prepped at U High. He was the number 1 player in the country out of high school a season ago. He was a massive, massive get for Lane Kiffin amidst that coaching turnover. The interesting thing there, we're not going to doubt Lamar Brown's ability. He's a great athlete, and you're going to see a guy at his size play on the edge, and he could be massive for LSU in that role. The thing is the learning curve with a guy like Lamar Brown. How immediate can the impact be? He was not an early enrollee. He got to LSU in the summer, so when he gets out on the field for fall camp here in about a month's time, this is going to be the first look we have at Lamar Brown. It's not like a Deuce Gerald's or Richard Anderson who got to be here early and go through spring. So I just look at it and I see a bunch of uncertainty really from the edge spot. Not that defensive tackle is, nailed shut, but I think you look at it and you go, yeah, there's definitely more there. When I look at this defensive line as a whole, I think if everything comes together, they have the potential to be the best unit on LSU's defense. I truly believe that. But if I'm being realistic, do I think everything comes together that way to where it is? I don't. But do I think this unit really kind of mimics 2019? I do. I'm not saying LSU's the 2019 team. I'm saying I see similarities between this defensive line group and that one. Where you look at Princewell Umanmielen coming off the edge, that guy could definitely be a first rounder just like Kayvon Chason was for you. I look at a guy like Dominic McKinley, and I see Rashad Lawrence, a 5-star where it just took time. And then you went and you had veteran transfers up front, like a Braden Fehoko. You had those players do enough and do their job, and they were physical. Tyler Shelvin. There's plenty of them. I think you can look at that and draw comparisons to this group. And I don't think anyone's going to tell you that line in 2019 was, up there with 2011 or 2003 or even 2007. But you had a first-round pick. You have Rashard Lawrence still playing in the league. I see that. I see parallels here. And they were plenty good enough to help LSU make a deep run all the way to a national championship. I think that's probably the more likely outcome is that this unit is good enough to help LSU make a deep run. Not necessarily, maybe not win a national title. But I think what you'll see is it'll resemble more LSU football at its height than what we've seen lately up front on the defensive line, just like you had in 2019. Plenty of parallels there. I'm fired up to watch that unit take the field, even if it's just in fall camp. Because as Lane Kiffin said, it's a work in progress, but man, they like their pieces there. Well, summer's been good. Fall camp's going to be another chance to work on that progress. Very intriguing unit. Very intriguing unit, LSU's defensive line group here in 2019. Excuse me, in 2026. They were intriguing then, too. Everything about that team was intriguing, but in 2026. All right, we'll grab a break. We'll come back on the other side. There's been another interesting update and development with the Saints' preseason win total as we inch closer to training camp. Kind of want to kick that around a little bit here as we continue on AFR. Not necessarily the number, but the amount of action that was coming in on the Saints win total. When it opened 7.5 back in February, the over was even money, plus 100. Just last week, it had already been bet on so much that the odds had changed to minus $1.20. Now it's $1 minus 25. So you've had yet another slight movement there. I bring that up, though, because Pro Football Focus, they used all their metrics and simulations and things of that nature to assess the win total for each team and project the win total for each team. And they had the Saints going over. So if you're one of those bettors that took the over on the New Orleans Saints win total, you'll probably like to hear that. However, it is over in the slightest margin. The Saints win total, 7.5. Pro Football Focus projects them to win 7.65 games. So over, but not really over. And again, it's just one metric, Pro Football Focus, but they've become pretty well respected in the football community. What's intriguing with that is the Saints' strength of schedule is 31st. And it creates a bit of a juxtaposition with another metric that Pro Football Focus released today as well, and that was just kind of their percentages. So while the Saints, they're projected to go over, round it up, call it 7.7 wins. So that's over. Obviously, if you go over, they're getting 8. Like, we understand that. But in doing that, they also listed the Saints with a 24% chance to win the division. The Buccaneers had the best at 34%. And a 32% chance for the Saints to make the playoffs. So their metrics are believers in the Saints. No matter how slim that over is, it points toward an over in the win total. And they give them a 32% chance to make the playoffs, a 24% chance to win the division. That is obviously second among all of those teams. It's better than the Panthers. It is better than the Falcons, who are going to stink this year. I'll just continue to say that. I don't believe in Atlanta this season very much, but that falls in line with the betting odds in Vegas. It falls in line with where the action has been on the New Orleans Saints. And it's just, look, we'll kind of beat the drum the same way we had. Like, yes, fine, Tyler Shuck taking the step forward. We understand that. Like, that's a prerequisite for this. But as we talked about, what's going to really help him do that is your improvement in the running game, which you have taken a bunch of steps toward, whether that's being adding David Edwards on the offensive line, and obviously Travis H in there in the backfield. Like, you have really pushed forward to improving that, and you have to because you were dreadful a year ago. And you've invested in the right spots around Shuck, especially in the receiving corps. Like, receiver should be the strength of the New Orleans Saints offense this season. But for me, as I said, something hidden is special teams and the improvement that you really look to have made in the special teams units, where you were not good a year ago, and it cost you games last year. Like, your poor special teams play cost you games. You were down 20-0 in a blink against Seattle because of poor special teams play. You missed a key field goal week 18 against the Falcons and ended up losing that game by 2 points. That's just 2. We could go on. There's more. But, you gave Charlie Smith a deal at kicker and then brought in competition for him and Tanner Brown, the guy from the UFL. You got Ryan Wright, who was, per Pro Football Focus, the 6th best punter, graded out 6th best among punters in the NFL. You got him, signed him to a 4-year deal. You've heard Kellen Moore talk about Anthony Jennings and Tyree Wilson, what they're trying to do on special teams for you. Like, you should be much better there. It might not, to the point where it doesn't cost you games, and it might even win you a game. So that could be the difference in winning the division or not, the improvements you made on special teams. I think that's huge. And then defense, I'm still not totally sold on. That is really the concern for me for the New Orleans Saints this year. If there is like concern, and don't misunderstand me. I'm not telling you I have no concerns about the New Orleans Saints in any of their area and they're going to win the Super Bowl. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if like there's a chief concern for me, it is defense. 'Cause I don't think you're very good at corner. I have major questions about replacing Alontae Taylor and Demario Davis. While I think Sanker can do very well at star, I don't think you replace the leadership and the production that you got from Demario Davis with Caden Ellis. I don't. It's not a shot at Caden Ellis. Not to say he can't go out there and have a really good season. I think he will. I think he'll be productive. But Demario Davis is an outlier, and that's going to be a really tough position to replace leadership position at. I think that matters when you look at this Saints group. And what also matters is, well, which New Orleans Saints defense that we saw a year ago is the real one? The one early in the year that wasn't good in the first half of the season when you were actually facing contenders? Or the one that turned it around late against the bottom half of your schedule and finished top 10 in the league? Well, if it's the one from the bottom half of the schedule, then look out. Then, yeah, the Saints are going to win the division. And I think if that's the case, with what you invested offensively and defensively against a fourth-place schedule, the New Orleans Saints can blow past their win total in that regard. I think it's probably somewhere in the middle of the two defenses that you saw. And I think that's where you look at this team probably winning 8, maybe 9 games, but probably 8, going over their win total. And it's going to really come down to how you perform in the division against the Bucs, the Panthers, and the Falcons if you're going to make the playoffs. They are plenty good enough, I believe, to do that. And now it's not just people throwing money on it in Vegas, backing it. Like, it's not just the betting public. You're also seeing metrics back that up as well as Pro Football Focus and all their simulations, projections, all the math that they do over there, projecting the Saints to go over their win total here in 2026. And if they do that, they're going to have a great chance to win that division. So found it interesting. Just another little update there, because I mean we've seen a lot of people jump on the Saints bandwagon. Well, I guess you can throw Pro Football Focus in that mix as well. All right, we're gonna grab a break. Come back on the other side. Still plenty to do. Still got to get to Otter Locks. I see pregame has now started for the United States and Belgium in the World Cup. Do you have a brief thought on that? We'll let you hear from some of the experts on that as well as we continue along here on
pulling out of the ground. The only filtration is take like the sediment from the ground out of the water, and it goes right into the bottle. So it never touches air until you uncap it, take that first delicious sip. Learn more where you can buy it, great retailers or online, evamore.com.
All right, 2026 FIFA World Cup round of 16 knockout stage. That continues here in about an hour and a half or so. The United States, they'll face Belgium with a trip to the quarterfinals on the line. Or excuse me, to the round of 8. That'd be the quarterfinals against Spain, who beat Portugal earlier today 1-0 in that one. So Spain's the favorite to win the tournament, and that's would get a lot tougher if the United States can get past Belgium tonight. They are a slight favorite in this match, favored by half a goal on the spread. United States slight favorite on the money line too. Actually at plus 155. You'll find Belgium at plus 175 there in that one. The big story though, obviously, is Flo Balogun, who had the red card against Bosnia-Herzegovina. It was controversial, to say the least. He was supposed to be suspended for this game against Belgium as a result of that, so he misses the rest of the game against Bosnia. Supposed to be out for this game as well, but FIFA suspended that suspension, so he is eligible to play tonight. Dan Thomas, he's the host of ESPN FC. He was on ESPN Radio earlier this week, and or not earlier this week, I should say earlier today, and was asked about the United States getting Balogun back.
It's a huge advantage. He's been one of the best, if not the best player of the tournament for the U.S. so far. And we've talked about it so much on the show over the last couple of days. There's a huge golfing class between Balogun and Pepe, or Balogun and Haji Wright. So it leaves the U.S. very much at a disadvantage. Slight favourites they were yesterday to go through to the quarterfinals. This certainly gives them more of an edge because he's such an important player to Mauricio Pochettino.
He's your leading goal scorer in the World Cup. I mean, The guy scored 3 goals so far for you. Like that's massive. Now you can look back at the last 5 matchups between the United States and Belgium. It has not gone well necessarily for the United States. They're 1-4 in those, including a friendly back in March. They lost 5-2. Now, granted, that's different. You might not have everybody out there and things of the nature. I understand it's a friendly, but this is the first time they've met in the World Cup since 2014, and that was a 2-1 Belgium win there too. So, we'll see, man. I think it'd be really awesome to watch the United States win. If you want my opinion on the Balogun thing, I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and act like I am this great knower of soccer. I'm not. I watched the World Cup and I watch the Olympics. That's it. I don't spend my weekends watching the Premier League or anything like that. Like it's not my thing. I like the international flavor in it in the Olympics and the World Cup, so I will watch that. I heard enough people who know about soccer, who cover the sport, talk about how questionable that red card was for him that I'm like, okay, this seems like the right decision. All while understanding FIFA is not necessarily the most admirable, I guess you could say, organization. They do some pretty shady things sometimes. But I mean, I think I heard enough people who cover the sport talk about how, man, more often than not, that's a yellow card and maybe the video review wasn't used properly for it, that I look at it and go, okay, maybe a wrong was actually righted here. And then there's the other part of me who just wants the United States to win everything that go, good, I don't care. Good, it helps the United States. He should be eligible. Like, I'm secure enough to admit that. Like, yeah, good. This helps them potentially win and make some history. That's awesome. That's what I like watching. Like that, like I watched the Bosnia game. I'm going to watch tonight. I'm kind of excited to watch tonight. I think it'd be awesome to see them go through and play Spain, where then you're just the ultimate underdog at that point, and hell, see what happens. But yeah, having your best goal scorer back, I mean, I don't have to know soccer to understand that yeah, that's a big boost for this team. So look, hopefully, man, hopefully they can go ahead and they can knock out Belgium and go have a matchup with Spain and just keep this run going. It's certainly been a lot of fun to watch, and it's been a lot of fun to watch the country watch this run from the United States as well. I'm sure Otter is going to have a play on that game here when we get to him momentarily. But first, a message from Matt on our Rev. All right, Luke. I know you're going to watch the World Cup tonight. That's not really a question. I mean, you had a watch party for the group stage. Paul, are you going to watch the World Cup tonight? U.S. Belgium knockout stage, win or go home. You in, Paul? Mike, you got to turn his mic on.
If I'm being honest, probably not.
Oh, come on, Paul. We need you to watch the World Cup tonight, Paul.
If they make it to the finals,
No,
I will probably watch that.
No, come on. You can't do that. This might be the last game they play.
I'll probably be watching baseball.
All right.
Watch my Braves.
Who the Braves got tonight, Paul?
Going against the Mets.
You don't need to watch. The Braves are going to kill the Mets. You don't need to watch. The Mets stink, Paul. You don't need to watch that. You need to support your country and watch the United States of America.
I'll be rocking my red, white, and blue.
Yeah, but that's because the Braves' colors are red, white, and blue.
Very true.
I mean, does that really count?
Of course.
And I got my blue on today, supporting America. Had a bunch of red, white, and blue on Saturday. Everybody have a good 4th of July? Yeah, good 4th of July around. Paul was on vacation still. So
Yeah.
So was I.
I mean, that was yeah. You were on vacation. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Good. Glad everybody had a good 4th of July. I love the 4th of July. We did a whole segment on this Thursday. I think it's the premier summer holiday. I love it so much. It's great.
It was great. It was good to be out of town for the 4th. That makes it. It's good to be in another state.
Okay.
But it was another. I was in Texas. It was another southern state.
I mean, it's
They
kind
did
of the same thing.
thing.
Yeah, I was about to say it's kind of like the exact same thing, Luke.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I was here. I mean, I was in Louisiana. We had a great day. We had a little pool day little pool day on Friday. Yeah. Another pool day on Saturday. It was great. Watched some France and Paraguay. It was on at the pool party. Yeah, man, it was great. It was a good day. Loved 4th of July. Glad everybody had a good one. Paul, I mandate that you watch the World Cup tonight and cheer for your country.
I might check in on it.
We're gonna
I
have
will not be locked in.
we are gonna have a Paul World Cup recap on tomorrow's AFR. So I need you to watch the game.
That's going to be the shortest segment ever.
Paul, come on. All right, so now we have a new reason to root for the United States to make it all the way to the finals.
Yes.
So Paul will watch.
Paul, get on the mic.
So Paul will watch the World Cup if the United States goes all the way to the finals. So go USA. We need him to make it all the way to the finals. All right, we're going to grab a break. Come back on the other side. Jimmy will be here for Otter Locks. We'll get his play on tonight's game between the United States and Belgium. Also see what the Otter has for us in baseball. That's next. Here to close out a Monday edition of AFR. Stick around.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh, we do shutters too.
All right, closing out a Monday edition of AFR here, presented by Relief Windows. Musso in for Moscono. We close it out the only way we know how, with Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
We got baseball. We got World Cup. Who says there's no sports on in July? Jimmy, how we doing today? Oh, did we lose Jimmy? Sounds like we might have lost Jimmy. All right, let's go ahead and we'll call Jimmy back. Call him back so we can get him back on the horn here. And we'll get to Otter Locks. Otter, I'm looking at him right now. Otter's got 4 baseball plays. He's got 4 baseball plays and a parlay on the World Cup tonight between the United States and Belgium. So we'll get to Otter Locks here momentarily once we get Jimmy on the horn. Been a good show. Thanks to Chris Gordy, Locked On SEC and Sports Talk 790 in Houston. He hopped on. We talked a little bit about the conference, some SEC football, as we are just 2 weeks away from SEC Media Days. Talked some LSU baseball. The Tigers picked up a big fish in the transfer portal, obviously, right before the 4th of July weekend. Some LSU football of that AFR On Demand presented by Brett Goff. If you missed any of it here on the show, we have Jimmy. He said what? Okay, well, that's okay. I don't know what I can't really fix that from here right now. Otter, do I have you? Otter?
Yeah.
Hey,
buddy.
there he is. There's our guy. Look at that. Look at that.
Get to it. Look, battle of the AL East. Tampa Bay with a 4-game lead. Remember, they made up 7.5 games. Judgeless Yankees. He's getting his ribs kind of checked out. They're talking about an August return. We will see. But Tampa Bay at home, 18, 20 games over 500. Advantage here. We're going to take the Tampa Bay. Is now plus money some places. Going to go with the Atlanta Braves. Now, the Braves are slumping as well. They've allowed the Phillies to cut into that lead considerably. But Lopez here against the Mets at home, who's always good for an error or two. I'm going to take Atlanta minus 127. They were down 10-3 until ninth inning and finished 10-9. Atlanta almost came all the way back. Milwaukee Brewers, they only scored in 1 inning yesterday, but it was enough to win 3-2. They are on fire. They're 20 games now over 500. Shane Drohan against Dusty May. Dusty May's had a decent season this year, but he got smashed the last 2 times. 2/3 of an inning, he gave up 5 earned runs. 2 innings against Kansas City, gave up 6 earned runs. So he may be hitting the skids a little bit. It's a very soft price for Milwaukee, who owns St. Louis against the suspect pitcher. And then we're going with the Washington Nationals. Nationals are not anymore the highest scoring team in baseball. That goes down to the Los Angeles Dodgers, but the Nationals and the Pirates just finished up a series. Most of them went over, including yesterday. That's the second and third leading scoring teams in Major League Baseball. We're taking Washington at home. This is at the top of the first inning. 2 outs, nobody on for the Astros. You might have to pay a little bit higher price right now.
162.
But we gave that out on the website. And let's go. Take me home. Take me home. Seattle, baby. Let's go. You Balligans in. Let's go. Let the Belgium doing a lot of whining, huh? Come on, man. Don't be whining because we're playing at full strength. U.S. advance and both teams to score. Parlay paying about 160, 165.
Otter, where are you tomorrow?
We're at Dozy Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City.
Heck yeah, man. Y'all go by, see Jimmy and Hanny for live at lunch tomorrow, 11 to 1. Otter, we appreciate it. Good luck. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Good luck, bud.
All right. There he is, Jimmy Ott. Real quick, while we have a moment here before we head out, Matt, word here on Parish Construction and Roofing. Mr. Chris Gordy, he hopped on with us. We talked a lot of defensive line today. Saints defensive line, LSU defensive line, a little bit of LSU baseball mixed in, which we will have. We'll have plenty more LSU baseball actually throughout the week. This is a big week there for the Tigers. Tomorrow we'll actually get a closer look at their transfer portal class. Jason Ratcliffe from 6'4 Analytics. He's going to rejoin the show and kind of talk about the back half of the class for us. They've added about 3 or 4 more guys since the last time we had him on. So we'll get his take there. Of course, Shea Dixon will be on the show with us tomorrow. And then the MLB draft is later this week. So we'll have plenty of coverage of that as we roll on throughout the week. So thank you for tuning in today. Thank you to Luke. Thank you to Paul. We appreciate it. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's evening and be back with us here tomorrow at 3 o'clock on AFR.